How's it going, everyone? I just finished playing Paper Mario the Origami King, and I just have to talk about it. This is going to just be a bit of a tangent thing, I'm probably going to go off on a lot of them, but just sit back, enjoy, and here's my opinion on Paper Mario the Origami King. So first things first, I've played all the Paper Mario games except from Paper Mario Color Splash. I even played Sticker Star and Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, which is kind of like a spin-off. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but I actually enjoyed those games. They're not as good as the original games, but I still had fun playing them. But I think everyone can agree that the best Paper Mario games were the first two, Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, which is actually my favourite game of all time. But how does this game live up to the others? Well, it's pretty damn good. One of the first things you'll notice when you play the game is how gorgeous it is. The visuals are incredible. It really does look like someone has created it with paper. I just had to keep stopping and looking around. And then they have these like real elements that they bring from the real world and put them in the game. They do look a bit, I don't know, goofy at times, but they add to the charm, they really do. So, of course, it's Paper Mario the Origami King. So not everything is just flat paper now. A lot of it's folded into origami. This is okay. I prefer the way they look originally, like the Koopas, the Goombas. The Goombas do look kind of fun, but the Koopas especially, I feel like they lose a lot of the charm when they've been folded into the origami. They're meant to be kind of like mindless slaves, but I don't know. I think I prefer the way they used to look, you know? But that doesn't go for all the characters in the game. Now, this is one of the points that made me want to make this review. The characters and the story is fantastic. This is some of the best lineups since Thousand Year Door. There was countless times where I found myself laughing out loud. It's honestly contagious how funny it is. So you're going to go to many locations and meet a lot of different people. It isn't like the kind of characters you're already used to with Koopas, Goombas and other people like that. But there is some surprises. But now this brings me on to the companion system. Well, kind of the lack of. So they wanted to add the companion system, but instead of doing it where you have companions that come with you throughout the game, there's just sections of the game where you have companions. They don't really do much. They don't get me wrong, they're good characters and I like them, but they're only in it for a very short period of time, and then they sort of go and you don't really see them again. And some of them you literally only have from maybe an hour to an hour and a half, and I don't know. I miss the old companions, you know, the ones that you had throughout the whole game and you had to pick which ones you want for the battle in. Here they just felt like a tack-on or just someone there to talk because Mario won't talk, you know? Now, in all the Mario games, well, Paper Mario games that is, Mario always has someone as his main companion, someone that's sort of there to guide him because he is a silent protagonist and he's someone to sort of talk and, you know, keep things interesting. And in this game we have Olivia, who is the Origami King's sister. Now, what is she like? Now, normally, I remember Tippy and all the other ones. I find them, they're sort of just there for the kids playing the game, like to sort of guide them. But Olivia was genuinely funny, and I felt for her at times, you know? She almost seemed a bit lost, but also very intrigued by this new world that she's in. I really enjoyed having her as a companion, and I wanted to keep like asking her for hints just to see what she has to say. Not so much that the game's hard, because trust me, it's not. But it's just, I don't know, I wanted to hear from her. She had good personality, and I enjoyed her being there. So that brings me on to the next point. The story. How is it? Well, it starts off like any other Mario game. You're going on your way to the castle to meet Princess Peach, and surprise, surprise, when you get there, things aren't the way they're meant to be. But in this case, Bowser's already been captured. And Peach, well, she's been turned into origami herself, and she's kind of like a villain, except she doesn't really do anything else throughout the entire game. Like, she just shows up once or twice just to be like, hey Mario, I'm evil now. Bye! But that goes for also the Origami King. He's there at the start and he's there at the end, and like he shows up again once or twice throughout the game, but he's not really present. I don't know, I remember the bits from Super Paper Mario where you had all these Count Bleck bits, when you'd actually sort of get these really good stories in his background and his history. They do have the history for the Origami King, but it's not as built up here. I'm making the story sound bad, but that's not where the story is good. Now, where the story really shines is when you go to these many, many locations and the individual stories there. I found myself getting much more intrigued and involved in those stories than I ever did with the main plot. Each world, each location had these really intricate and intriguing and kind of like wacky at times stories that I just loved, and I found myself sitting here with a massive smile on my face thinking, is this the whole game? Like, each individual world could be its own game. That's how amazing and in-depth these worlds are, guys. So, what are the locations like? They're great and they're varied. Obviously you have like the desert, the underground, the mountain, but here I don't know, like one of the best parts of the desert, and it was actually one of my favourite worlds apart from one, is that because it's a big open desert, you have a car that you drive around in, which of course is a shoe, because what else would it be? And it's then fun because you're getting around fast and you're rapid, and it makes that world completely different to any other world. It was honest, they really did put so much thought and effort into like each individual world and how they can make it unique and how they can make it stand out from other worlds that you've been in. And then my favourite world is this world that I just totally didn't expect. You go out on an open sea, and normally you go, when you're in a video game and you go out to a sea, it's because it's trying to show that you're travelling a long distance. But in this game, they're like, oh, you're going out to sea? Well, you can explore the ocean, and you go to all these different islands, and you have full control of the boat. You also have a submarine on the back that you can use to go down and look for treasure. And I spent a long time on that section, just going around exploring all the different corners of the map, because that bit is massive. That's almost as big as like the rest of the game combined. It's just in that open sea section. And you've got all these little islands, and they're all different, and they've all got these like unique characters. I found myself just lost, and then I'd look back and go, wait a minute. Aren't I meant to be doing something for Peach? No, well, I'm going to go look for treasure. So the main word I'd use for this game is variety, because you really don't know what you're going to do next. You could be driving in a desert in a shoe, or you could be riding the seven seas on a boat, and then in the next moment you're on a turret. That's right, there's a turret section in a Paper Mario game. No, sorry, there's a turret section in a Mario game. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely mad. Now, I know what you're thinking. He hasn't mentioned the battle system. You're right, I haven't. Because this is where things go downhill. Now, first things first, I need to say that I did enjoy the battle system. I did think it was fun, I think it was smart. But my biggest problem with it is, it takes a long time. And maybe I'm just not that smart, but I was struggling with some of the puzzles, and in the end, because you get so much money, I was just using the toads to sort of give me the answer, because I just couldn't be bothered. But now that brings me on to my final point, RPG elements. Now, one of the biggest things people say about the Paper Mario games is that they're losing the RPG elements, and I agree with that, definitely. And this game, it has them, and then it goes, nope, we don't want to give you any more than just this little bit. Like, again, they've got the problem where battling doesn't matter because there's no XP, there's no leveling. So every battle you do throughout the game, there's no point to it. When the game starts, if you literally went straight to the final boss, you could do the final boss with no difficulties at all, because there is no real upgrades. And that's the biggest problem with this game, guys, is pointless battling. Do you remember the badges that they had in the old games? Well, now they've been replaced by accessories, and in this game there's only like 10. It's really disappointing. I don't know why they just can't put that little bit more in for us. The fans are asking for it. Or if not, take out all the RPG stuff and make it like Super Paper Mario, where you go around jumping on the enemies. I'd much rather that. But when you go into a battle, and each battle can last literally 5 minutes if you want to do it properly, working out the puzzle first with the rings, and then you have to fight. And there's only really 2 attacks, guys. I know, only 2 attacks. Well, that's kind of a lie. There isn't only 2 attacks, okay? There's a jump and a hammer and then a fire flower. And then you sort of get items to upgrade them. And when I say upgrade them, they're disposable items the way they were in Sticker Star. So you'd get boots, flashy boots, shiny boots, and then super flashy shiny boots, which is all cool, but it's really just jumping and hammering. And that's it, that's what you're doing throughout the game. And that's sort of the biggest downfall. God damn it, Nintendo. This close. This close. Does that mean all battling's bad? No. They have some battles that you do where you don't actually go into like the turn-based stuff, where you battle these big paper mache things, And with them, you do it outside of the battling system, and you're just using your hammer and you're running around. And those bits are some of the more fun bits, including the boss fights. Now, the boss fights are a little bit different in this game, as it works kind of like snakes and ladders. You've got to sort of work your way around the board to try and get to the boss, but normally it's done as a puzzle. You've got to try and work out how to defeat the boss in a certain way, like without doing spoilers, with fire against ice, or with water against fire, stuff like that. Or I can't really say much without doing spoilers for what the bosses are, but trust me guys, the bosses are worth playing the game through, especially to get to that final boss, which had me shouting a lot. And this sounds weird guys, but I've never been out of breath fighting a boss. But this boss, with the gyro controls, it made me out of breath. Yeah, I know, weird. So, what's my final thoughts on the game? Well, I loved it, and it was the closest we've gotten to a 1,000-year door in a long time. This game for me is like a solid 9 or solid 8 out of 10. I really would be leaning more towards the 9 though. The only problem is those RPG elements that they tease us with. If they added XP, that's it. Literally, if they added a point to the battles that you'd get the XP, then this game for me would have been a 10 out of 10. But when I spend most of the game just trying to avoid the enemies just so I can get to the next bit, you know, it's disappointing. And the battling is fun. That's the thing. It is fun. It's just pointless. That's the problem. And it's a shame, because to me this really could have been the perfect game. But don't get me wrong guys, I really do recommend this game. But I wouldn't recommend it to the veterans as much as I would to new players. If you've never played a Paper Mario game, you will love this game. But if you're one of those players like me who've played all of them, you are still going to miss the old ones. But I feel like this is a step in the right direction. I just wish they'd either make a decision. Either make it the RPG or do the Super Paper Mario route and have it that you just jump on the enemies. Please Nintendo, just make the decision. But if you like Paper Mario games and you're just going to enjoy it just for the visuals and the personality, then buy it, because you will freaking love this game. Okay guys, I guess that's about it. That's my review on Paper Mario. Go out and play it. Unless you don't really want to, then, I don't know, go play Call of Duty or something, or Fortnite. I don't know, whatever you kids do. Yeah. So guys, I know I haven't done a video in a while. I'm saying this as if I have subscribers, but it's because I've been working on something, and it's nearly finished. It's really not nearly finished. But if you have enjoyed this video, please guys, leave it a like, maybe subscribe. Leave me a comment telling me that you don't agree with my opinion, and I'll go, cool. But guys, have a good day, have a good life, have whatever, I don't care, see ya.